Hi, I'm just going to share a couple of news items today, but this is absolutely outrageous. And as usual, you know, where do we find it? NBC News, why isn't it on the BBC? US apologised for Guatemala STD experiments, sexually transmitted disease experiments. US government medical researchers intentionally infected hundreds of people in Guatemala, including institutionalised mental patients with gonorrhea and syphilis without their knowledge or permission more than 60 years ago. Many of those infected were encouraged to pass the infection on to others as part of this study. So, you know, this is an experiment that was also impacting on the general population. They were encouraged to pass the infection on to others as part of the study. About 1/3 of those who were infected never got adequate treatment. On Friday, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and health officials and Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius offered extensive apologies for actions taken by the US Public Health Service. Okay. Now this is from 2010. Okay, 2010. How many people have really heard about this? Okay, it's been pushed under the radar, hasn't it? Because you know we're all so enthralled with Trump, the Trump administration, either for or against. It's just shock. It's the shock effect, isn't it? So, you know, you recover after one shot, and then there's another shot, and there's another shot, and there's another crime, and there's another crime. How many crimes? Oh, we can't take on board everything. Why were none of these people arrested and charged? Because somebody had ordered this study. Somebody had ordered this study. The people on the ground performing the actual study, again, you know, Nuremberg rules apply. Well, I was just obeying orders. What, you were obeying orders to transmit human beings with a disease without their knowledge or consent? You were prepared to do that for some money. Nobody was holding a gun at your head. You're actually worse than a Nazi, because at least a Nazi soldiers could say, well, you know, if I didn't do as I was told, I'd get shot. Were you people going to get shot for saying no, we are not going to perform that study? How could such studies happen unless there weren't masses of people on the ground prepared to do anything they're asked to do, as long as it's by an officially recognised professional and they're giving them a wage? What won't the public do for a wage? What won't they do to pay their mortgage? How far are you prepared to go? Are you prepared to actually start getting a gun and shooting poor people in the head? This is absolutely, I can't get my breath. It's like, what? What? And, you know, I've only just found out about it. This was from, like I say, 2010. 2010. 64 years ago, from 1946 to 1948. Clearly unethical, and led to what? Extensive infections of STDs in Guatemala, obviously, because they went around injecting people, encouraging them. So how many people suffered? How many children suffered? How many people to this very day are still suffering through the impact of this study? And how many more studies have been going on since then? Since then. So essentially what we're left with here is that really the American authorities are actually no better than Hitler's Nazis that were experimenting on Jewish people. Because, you know, Jews, apparently, they were all criminal and inferior, so you could do what you liked to them. You could use them as slaves, lock them up, get them all in concentration camps, deny them their rights. Exactly the same with the people of Guatemala. And Hillary Clinton gives an apology. So In addition to the apology, the US is setting up commissions to ensure that human medical research conducted around the globe meets rigorous ethical standards. They're also launching investigations to uncover exactly what happened. Really? Well, where are the results of these investigations? Who has received compensation? The researchers were trying to determine whether the antibiotic penicillin could prevent syphilis infection, not just cure it. Come on, come on. No, 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 no. We know from the evidence already that HIV was knowingly introduced into the African population. We know that. Okay, the evidence is out there. It was a man-made, created disease that was then knowingly introduced to healthy people without their knowledge or consent. And in order to test whether penicillin actually works, sorry, no, that isn't a good enough reason. This was an attack. This was a crime against humanity, a deliberate attack against the people of Guatemala, wasn't it? But you know, this is just one more thing that this world can ignore. Okay? Now, I am connecting this exactly now to what's going on in Venezuela. Again, absolutely casual dismissal of the people's rights in Venezuela, another country that you know what the present USA president refers to as, quote, shithole countries. Okay? Venezuela is one of them, isn't it? Like Guatemala. Yeah, you know, we don't take any notice of the people's human rights there. The people's human rights to have a democracy, to democratically elect their president in, according to the Jimmy Carter Foundation that monitors the election, that monitored the elections there, one of the most uncorrupt democratic processes in the world, and they elected their president, Maduro. And but no, Mike Pence and Donald Trump and Mike Pence get to elect the president of Venezuela, don't they? Somebody who's never even stood for president. A guy who's supported by people who claim the last elections were unfair because they chose not to participate in them. Because they chose not to participate in them. Why did they choose not to participate in the elections? Because they knew they'd lose. And then, you see, they've legitimately lost. And they have to accept the defeat. But instead, no, they boycott the elections. They refuse to participate in them. And then they say the elections were unfair because they weren't included. This is an abomination. This is what it is. It is. We are witnessing an abomination of power upon this earth in every area. And you know, you can focus on all the little bits and bobs of it, like for example, what's gone on in Fukushima, what's going on with the children of Britain, that they're not receiving justice, that this independent inquiry into child sexual abuse is a total sham. The only things it's focusing on is, you know, historical evidence that goes back decades. They're not focusing on the historical evidence of just, say, a few years ago. They are actually participating in a cover-up of failures of police to investigate ongoing risk to children. That is what they're doing, and I have the evidence of it. You know, like my recent video about that, you know, includes Brexit and Venezuela, but also Grenfell. My absolute outrage that I'm being asked to sign a petition basically to demand that London authorities learn a lesson from the horrific deaths that people suffered through their criminal negligence. You know, that Britain's authorities now appoint a social housing minister regulator to make sure that social housing is safe and that the tenants are going to be listened to. Seriously, that we have to sign a petition to persuade them to learn from a lesson. And what was the cost of that lesson? Officially, 72 people dying in fear and terror in a burning building. A so-called accident that happened in spite of the fact that those authorities were repeatedly warned that such an accident could happen, and rather than do anything about it, they actually made the situation worse. Their actions, the actions they took, increased the risks. You know, and we still don't accept the 72 people dying figure. We know that the figure amounts into the hundreds, because according to the residents around at the time on the ground speaking to the firemen, the people that lived in that area speaking to the firemen told them that they had 62 bodies of children had been taken out of those buildings. So, you know, they're saying 72 people died, but there were 62 bodies of children. 62 children's bodies. So, you know, we don't accept it, but 72 or 300 or 400, what difference does it make? How many? The fact is that people died. And the fact is that he is not the leader. He is not the democratically elected leader of Venezuela. He is not the Venezuelan president. Mike Pence has no rights to choose the president of Venezuela. And every country that's standing by Mike Pence, you are standing by fascism. That is what you are. Britain and France, Italy, Spain, Germany, the lot of you, you're fascists. You are standing by outright fascism in order to rob a nation, not just of its democracy and its rights, but also of its resources. And that is what this is about. And why? Why are you that desperate for money? As the World Bank, the Zionist World Bank, got its hands round your throats? Has it got guns pointed at your head? Come and tell us about it. It is time to revolt against the revolting. Because this is a revolt, isn't it? This, what Mike Pence and Donald Trump have done to Venezuela out in full public, is a revolt against democracy. It's a revolt against human rights. It is a revolt against socio-capitalism, as stands as an affront to the corporate communism that is being imposed on our planet. And this is the kind of things that they've been engaging in over the years. What happened in Guatemala 64 years ago is still going on. We know that there have been experiments even on the American public. We know there have been experiments on the British public. These people are out of hand. And, you know, today is the anniversary, a so-called anniversary of what? The Fukushima horror. The start of this ongoing nuclear disaster that this world has failed to address. You've left it all to TEPCO, this corrupt, thoroughly incompetent corporation that again had ignored repeatedly the warnings again and again that they needed to build a barrier to protect the plant from a tsunami. Because they destroyed the natural sea barrier that did exist in order to build the plant. So, you know, they are negligent. Their excuses for not building that sea barrier it was 20 years ago now, 10 years before the accident, they were warned. They said no, they daren't build it because it had alarmed the Fukushima residents. Now they're saying, well, we didn't explain to the world that this was a level 7 event right from the start because we didn't want to alarm the global public. And they still haven't got any further to dealing with it. It's killing our Pacific Ocean. The people of Japan have been put at terrible risk. They are suffering. But what's being done about it? What are the powers of this world doing about that? How is it? Why is it that Theresa May and Macron and, you know, the president, the prime minister of Germany and Italy and Spain will all speak out and stand by this unelected, self-proclaimed Trump and Pence chosen president, but none of them are speaking out about what is going on in Japan and who is addressing this, because we can't leave it to TEPCO. The world scientists are going to have to be addressing this. And I'm going to leave you the video link to my latest couple of videos about what's going on at Fukushima. And I ask you to please watch them and check the links under those videos as well. Because we need a coming together. We need a unity now to revolt against the revolting president of America. The revolting leaders of our own nations who are revolting against us. They are revolting against our human rights. How dare they? How dare they? How dare they deny justice for our children? How dare they set up an independent inquiry into child sexual abuse in order to ignore ongoing failures and focus only on the failures that took place 20 years ago? We need to get active and real. And I do not speak out from nowhere. Okay? This universal intelligence itself revealed itself to me. Oh, but nobody wants to know about that. The only people who are allowed to talk about God in this world is the Pope. Has he witnessed an event of universal light being? Did he get publicly ridiculed and scorned to the degree that his own only child was turned against him because he was judged mad? 27 years I've had to live with that. And knowing the difference between right and wrong, and having to live in this world with powerlessly to just watch the horror unfold because nobody's listening to me. Nobody's taking me seriously. Oh, somebody recently said to me, yeah, well, you know, you don't show your face on your videos, do you? Basically, you're just a voice. Really? Really? What? You actually need to see my face, do you? You need to see my face. So, me, on my own, literally, not even my own family standing by me, a handful of friends who don't even live anywhere near me, in a small community, I'm supposed to put my face, I'm supposed to put myself at risk. I'm totally alone in this world. Not one person stand by me. Nobody prepared to give me an interview about the experience of universal golden light being. No. Instead, you know, we'll all sit back and give, listen enthralled to somebody who's been abducted by aliens. You know, I'm not criticising their experiences. But why is it that my experience has been just totally ignored? Because the ignorance is criminal. The ignorance is criminal. And it's the same criminal ignorance that allows people, even leaders of nations, to ignore the facts about Venezuela, to ignore the crimes that have been committed by America and other nations against the so-called underdeveloped countries. Well, you know, if Britain is a developed country and America is a developed country, seriously, what hope is there for the allegedly underdeveloped countries? Is that what they're supposed to develop into? The kind of nations that actually revolt against our human rights and the universal law that we were created to live by? I leave it to you people. But I tell you, I will show my face when I've got people around me, people who are supporting me, who are standing with me because they believe, they have faith in that universal lie. Okay? When somebody's interviewing me, I will show my face. But at the moment, I'm on my own. I'm on my own. And that's the fact of it. I've got a handful of friends who do stand by me. But the rest of the people out there, no matter who I've contacted, whether I'm contacting them with solid information and facts, asking for their help as professionals to support the facts and to actually lend their credence to getting something done, no, brush me aside. Brush me aside. So now I'm expected to actually identify myself in my videos and allow myself to become a target in my own area by whoever. Oh yeah, she's that woman, yeah, on YouTube. Sorry, no, I have suffered serious attack. I'm talking physical attacks. I have suffered, okay, and I am on my own. But I'm sharing the information, and as I say, it is up to you people, among humanity now, to revolt against the revolting.